Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. In this video today I'm going to show you how to create this automation here with n8n and Airtable. What this automation will do will be able to allow us to track multiple Twitter accounts at once. So within the one request we can have, I think it's up to 30,000 accounts that we can send per request. And what that will do will track the total followers. It will then calculate the increase from the previous day, and then it will log it here within n8n. So I'll just execute this workflow and we'll see this one updated. Perfect, so that one's just finished off now, and we've got the update for the row here. We can see all accounts have been updated to today's date, and it's calculated the increase. So here 24 was the previous day, so 0 increase. For my account, I've lost a follower. Make sure to help me out. There'll be a link in the description. Otherwise, we've got Elon Musk here, 145,000. The data might be off just because there's been a few days of testing, and you can see here I've missed a day. But yeah, that doesn't matter. If you would like to learn how to set up this automation, please follow along. So getting straight into things, guys, we've got a table here within Airtable for each individual account that we want to track. So just creating a table here, we've got the date, the total followers, and the increase as well. So that'll be the increase from the previous day's row, and then obviously total followers will be tracked there. So for each individual account, I've created a table like that. From n8n's point of view, to get the actual data that we need to track each individual account, I've created a table here called accounts to track. What this has here is the username for the X account itself, and then the table to update this table here, the code. That'll be, or the table ID rather, it is unique to each individual table we've got here, and it's found within the URL for this table. So when you're actually on this table here, the URL for the within the browser, there will be a part within the URL that says TBL, and we can just copy and paste that one into here. So it's as simple as that to be able to identify each individual table. So from there, we've got the schedule node to trigger at a certain time within the day. From there, we search the records. As I mentioned, this is where we go to the accounts to track list, and we go and search the accounts that we need to track. So the information that we get back, we've got the username of the actual Twitter account itself, and then the table to update will be the table ID that we've put in there. That way we just know when we do get the follower data, we know which table matches the username and which one we need to update with the specified data. So all of them obviously have different data, so we need to know a way to be able to send that data to that particular table. After that, we need to format all the usernames that we do get. So all I've got is just a simple JavaScript little script here that it'll take all the names that we do get back, and it'll create this new object called usernames and format it like so. So there's no space in between them, and there's just a comma. The reason for that is that in this next node here for the X API request, we do need all the usernames to show like this. So I've got I'm referencing the previous node's usernames that I've just shown you within the code node, and that turns out just like this, as I mentioned, without a space and without a comma, and it makes up this URL to be able to make that API request to get the follower data. So once that's formatted correctly, when we do the request itself, all we're doing is setting the parameters of user.fields and then public metrics, and we get all this data here. So for each individual account, we've got, this is one account here, so J Preston, we've got the follow count, following count, the amount of tweets, things like that. And that's all we need really. So basically all we did was create a bearer token with x.com. So you just need to sign up. It's free. If you've got a Twitter account, you just need to log in with those same details, and you create an API key. I'll have a guide below to the X developer documentation to create one of those. Super simple stuff. But once we've actually got that, we'll be able to make those requests to X itself. One limitation with this automation is, as you can see here, I've got the data pinned. So I've got it you can see it's pinned here for test execution. So the reason for that is that with this specific query that we're doing for the usernames and getting the data of the accounts, you can actually only do it once per day per API key. So what that means is that it will only be able to run each day until we're actually blocked by X for getting that information. So within the one request, as you can see here, I've got 3 different accounts. So it's not about the accounts total, it's more about the amount of times we go and ask X for that data. So we can actually send, I believe it's 30,000 accounts that you can send within one request, but you would need to look that up and just verify. But yeah, something like heaps that, I wasn't going to be tracking 30,000 accounts, so I didn't really care. But it was, way over the line than what we actually needed for this purpose. Who knows, maybe you've got 60,000 accounts that you need to track. Maybe you need to go and pay for the API key, but I think that's the only sort of limitation there. Otherwise, you could probably break it up into multiple different requests. So after that, we do extract the array. So the information that we do get back, I just take it out of the data object that we get. So if I just look at this previous response here, so it's all within this one data object here, and we can see that by just clicking on data itself, and then it's got all those 3 items within that object. So all we're doing in this next one is just extracting the data itself, so they're all individual objects and it's not within that one data object. This just makes it easier to get the data within future nodes. From there, we create a loop. So what this loop will do, we'll go to Airtable, get the previous day's total. What that will do will reference the table to update, basically from that first function here, which is search records, where it goes and gets the accounts to track, and we've put the table data here. It will go and query each individual table and get the previous data from that table. So it's sorted by the date, so it'll get the latest one that's there. So even if it's a couple days since you've actually run the automation for whatever reason, it'll just get the latest one that's there. From there, we go and whether there's actually been a row created before, like for example, if both of these were deleted and there was nothing there, it was creating issues where because nothing was returned, the automation would just stop. But for the other 2 where it did have data, it would just run automatically. So what I've got here is if the data actually is returned as total followers, then run through and calculate the increase and then update the record within Airtable. But if that doesn't show within there, if there's no total followers data, which would be the case if there was no data, just like in this table here, it will then go and set that data itself. So I've gone ahead and set total followers to 0 and the increase to 0, just to sort of copy the sort of information that we may have received back from a successful request to the table where there was information. So we've got information here about the sub increase and the total followers because there was actually that data there. But if there is no data, we're just setting that manually. So it's just the same data fields, increase and total followers. From there, if it's false and we had to create that data, we then go and just create the table, create the record just as normal. That will update the table here. Otherwise, if we do actually get the previous day's data that is returned, we do then just calculate the increase, just taking today's follower count minusing what we had previously, and then I just return the increase. I've also got the previous and the current follower count to come through as well. Probably could have named those clearer, but that was just mainly for testing. You don't really need to have that, but it could just be the increase. After that, then we go and create the record, and what we're doing from there, we matching the values here. So we find the YouTube base, that's where all the tables are located, and then we get the table ID to actually update, and the way we get that is by referencing that first node where we searched all the records, and then we're finding in there the item where the name is matching the username that we're actually looking for. From there, we get the table ID that we've added to accounts to track, and that's all coming from, as I mentioned, the search records node from the start. So that results in the actual table ID that we need to use to update the table. From there, we just map the total followers to what we got from the X API. But then, as I mentioned, we extracted the array to get the data that was in that massive data object and simplify it down into each individual objects just for each user that we need to track. And from there, I'm just getting the follower count for there for the total followers. For the sub increase, we've just got the previous node's data under increase that we made from the calculate increase. And then we're just using that in that field there. You can specify that just like I've got here. We've got extract the array, so that's probably a better way of doing it. So I would do it as the calculate increase node dot increase. That's probably more versatile way of actually doing that, because if we then go and change the structure of the nodes and we go and add one in between it, when we reference JSON.increase, the previous node won't actually have the increased data that we need. So the better way to do it is like that. So then nothing breaks in the future when we add nodes. You can go and change that if you'd like. From there, we loop through all the accounts that we need to update the rows for each individual account that we're looking to track. We then aggregate the 3 items in total that have actually been returned, and just to make sure that there isn't 3 individual Telegram updates that are sent. Before adding the aggregate node, whenever it finished, it would then send 3 individual Telegram updates. So that wraps up today's video, guys. Really hope that you did enjoy it and got some value from it. If you did want to give this automation a go and you need a hand with it, just feel free to DM me on Twitter. I'll be happy to help and take a look at that for you. If you did want the template to this automation, please like the video and subscribe, and DM me proof on Twitter and I'll send through the template for you. Otherwise, thanks for watching and have a nice day.